Welcome back to the Bible Library. Today we're continuing our epistles with the book of Hebrews. Hebrews. It's a good joke. How does Moses make his coffee? He brews it. He brews it. Okay. Anyway, yes. So this is an epistle that was probably not written by Paul. And it's interesting, though. It's because people think about, I've been telling you that Paul's very educated, that he's great at his Greek, it's very impeccable, passionate. Hebrews, the book of Hebrews is probably the most well-written book in the Bible. Well-written being like grammatically, the Greek is perfect. It's very high-level vocabulary, very educated. Even more so than Paul's writings have been. Now, of course, Paul would say it's because he's writing for us simple people. Anyway, but yes, the book of Hebrews, the idea is it's written most likely to Christians, Jewish Christians living in Jerusalem, or some heavily populated area near Jerusalem. The premise is that clearly people, so when the church first started, and Jesus himself was Jewish, his disciples were Jewish, and this was kind of started as a new sect of Judaism and sort of became its own faith, if you will, over time. There were a large portion of Christians, we talked about before, Jews and Gentiles and other books, that yes, with Christ everyone is now part of God's promises, etc., etc. There were some who, to avoid persecution from the Roman authorities who were in partnership with the temple system, that they were converting back to Judaism so they wouldn't get killed. And this is where the book of Hebrews comes in. That the author is writing to try to show people that this new understanding of faith, that Jesus is the Messiah that's been promised, and that we should not turn back so easily, even if it means that our lives are on the line. I know that some people say that books like Hebrews we can't really understand now in our context. Our life is our faith doesn't put our life on the line almost ever in our context. Maybe that's a problem. I don't know. That's a whole other conversation for another time. But that is a key part of Hebrews and a lot of the other books we've talked about. That when we are practicing our faith and living out the principles, we're going to upset a lot of people who are in power. Maybe that is something we should be relating to. And specifically, Hebrews talks about the word that gets used a lot is the word better. This is a better way of life. These callings are better than what you have been aspiring to before. These new covenants in Jesus are better than the old ways we had. Jesus explained God more for us. It talks about Jesus, this famous passage of Jesus being the high priest, being connected to Melchizedek, of course, in the book of Hebrews. Probably the most famous passage in this whole book, making the connection again to Old Testament theology and Judaism, but saying that this is a continuation, this is the same God, this is a better way of understanding this God that we've been worshiping. And of course, that's, unfortunately, this book has been used for terrible things sometimes against the Jewish population. Which is a shame, because it's not what this book is about at all. This book's about living your, to use a 21st century term, living your best life, a better life, right? That's really what the center of this book is about. Not about hate of others. If anything, the writer writes from a point of view that they also are Jewish Christians. The two are tied forever that way. As people of faith, as Paul writes in Romans, the old covenants of God, the chosen people, those are still in effect. They're still God's people. We still believe that. Jesus just opened that up for more of us. Thanks be to God. And so yeah, uh, if you're looking for a book that's going to talk about the connections of Christianity and Judaism in this time, if you're looking for a book that tackles the idea of living a faith that could be dangerous, this is the book for you. Maybe you should brew up something and have it while you read it. It's a little longer than some of the other epistles. Now, it's going to be a little different from Paul. If you're like, I cannot read another book from Paul, oh my gosh, then like, okay, give Hebrews a try. So, I hope that this one was helpful, and we'll pull another book from our library tomorrow.